Come on. There we go. Couldn't get. So. See if we can do this here. I was expecting somebody, but they never showed up. But if they do, I might have to cancel out of this and come back later, a little later, and redo it. So we'll see what happens here. But keep hearing something outside, like maybe. So who knows? But so I see there's looks like 3 people in here so far. How's everybody doing this week? I got my meeting with the City of Columbia Thursday over the attraction. I'm waiting on more back from Lake of the Ozarks about the attraction as well. Lake of the Ozarks had a bit of interest in it, in the attraction, wanted to know more. But I think it would be cool. I think it would look amazing down there, right on the lake. You know, not an actual ship floating on water, but still land-based. But have that waterfront property, so that when you're up on deck, you know, strolling and everything, you could look out over the water. I think that would look amazing. But of course, going to Lake of the Ozarks, that's a premium tourist destination area. So land in that area is going to be a lot higher priced. So it's going to raise the cost of having to do all of it versus staying here in Columbia and everything. You know, Columbia is more of a tourist event area, not a tourist attraction area. So this would be the first attraction. But I think other people would end up following suit and everything. But yeah. And of course, you can always, you know, over time expand the attraction out. You can always buy more land and turn that into like a lake or something to have that waterfront property. I've actually got here in my computer designs for a slightly more modernized 10-unit apartment building complex thing that kind of recreates what the shipyard workers lived in when they were building the Titanic, which can be seen in Belfast today. It's a little bit more modernized, but overall it's fairly similar to what's still, you know, livable in Belfast today. I said there's 10 units, 2 stories. You have a living room, kitchen, and bathroom on the main floor, and then you have 3 bedrooms up on the second floor of each of these little apartments. And I said, you know, later on down the road, you know, after the attraction's open and it's a success and you want to expand a little bit, you could, these could easily be added along the side of the parking lot or something, just a little more land, whatever. Rent it out like B&Bs or something. There's all kinds of ways you could do things. And you could always build multiples of these units. You don't have to just build one. You could build 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. Have as many as you want. There's just 10 units per building. But yeah, that's, like I said, I've got my meeting with Columbia at 11 a.m. Thursday, and I'm really hoping they see the potential for what this can do to Columbia, because their main interest is in the hotel aspect of it. That was what attracted them to setting up this meeting to talk, so we can discuss it more. So that's my main focus, is to present them with the attractions, the hotel side of the attraction and everything. Because that's their main focus. How's the update with the attraction? I said it's pretty much there where it's been. I said I got my meeting this week, this Thursday. God, that muscle. But yeah, like I said, Columbia's mainly focused on the hotel aspect of it. And so I really want to kind of focus that up a bit, because like I said, Columbia here where I'm at is home to the Mizzou Tigers, the University of Missouri. A huge SEC football college team and everything. So they're and we're starting to get into football season now, and their games bring thousands, tens of thousands of people to Columbia every weekend. Not just once a year, but every weekend. And homecoming weekend in particular, it's even bigger. I mean, you can get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And everything. So, and hotels for miles are booked up in all directions. So this attraction would bring almost 1,500 hotel beds back to Columbia instead of Boonville or Kingdom City or Mexico or Jefferson City or wherever. So I'm getting a new computer keyboard. Yeah, I just had to buy. I bought a couple new computers, newish computers here a few months ago. So the one I'd had for a few years finally up and quit on me. The first one was not very good, but the second one, the button for the mouse trackpad has already broke on it. It's a pain in the butt. I'm hoping to be able to get some of these tickets sold. Part of the money is be a business expense, but to get Titanic Truths, a really, really powerful computer that I can create the promos and the commercials and the ads and everything on, and then I can get the Titanic Honor and Glory demo to use as a reference for designing and planning the attraction and visuals of the attraction, at least, and everything. Because the computer I got now works, but it's doesn't have all the core memory and the RAM that it needs to be able to do what I want. I got a lot of limitations right now. But But yeah, as I said, I'm waiting to hear back. Like I said, another email from Lake of the Ozarks because I sent them an email a while back and they responded. They wanted to know more. They set out a point by point of what they wanted to know about, specifically. And so I filled them in on what I could of all of that and everything. Like they wanted to know, like, the principal agents and investors and everything. And, and I told them, it's like, well, technically speaking, I don't really have any of that because I took a completely unconventional approach to this entire attraction. I where most companies will go behind closed doors and talk with their advisors, their board of directors, and all of that, and create their business model and their attractions and all of that. I put this attraction right out there to you guys, the fans, and let you guys decide what you wanted to see in the your ultimate Titanic attraction that you could visit. So, I welcome investors. I would always welcome investors. I've actually turned down investors, actually. When I very first started this project, back when it was still called Project Edwardian, and before it evolved into what it is now, there was a guy that was going to invest $50,000 into the project, but he wanted to completely take it over and do everything his way. And I had to turn him down. That $50,000 could have went a long way at that point, right at the beginning. And I probably could have been a lot further along by now if I would have been able to do it, but I couldn't. I said he wanted to do it all his way, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. So it was very hard having to turn down $50,000, but I had to. He wanted, you know, I we the project at that point was actually planned to be a real ship that would actually sail, and I had preliminary designs started, and he wanted to just gut those designs and go back and start over from scratch and read and do all designs himself and everything. And he basically wanted to just buy the project for $50,000, and then I would just not have anything to do anymore with it, and it would all be his. And I wasn't going to do that. Yeah, but yeah, I said I'm trying to think of other places that could be good potential locations for the attraction and everything. And like I said, I've got the meeting with Columbia this week. I've been emailing Lake of the Ozarks, everything. But like I said, I'm really trying to figure out other areas. My mother actually suggested Boonville. They have a riverboat casino up there, and their hotel books up full max all the time. And she said that having the additional hotel beds up there could really help expand their business as well. But Boonville's such a tiny little town. It's really not for this type of thing. I have thought, maybe Jeff City and everything. They've got a good amount of land that's right on the river, right across from Capitol and everything, that wouldn't be too hard to get, maybe. So I have thought about some of that, but I've thought maybe, I've considered maybe St. Louis. You know, St. Louis has got a pretty good tourist area with the Arch and the zoo and, the Cardinals baseball, and they've got museums and all kinds of stuff downtown. And in fact, they've actually got a whole tourist attraction park, whatever, I forget the name of it, that they just recently built not far from the Arch downtown, that has all kinds of amusement park type stuff inside of it. So I thought maybe they could be a good, that might be a decent fit, but I hate St. Louis. And so I wouldn't want to be down there in St. Louis. Tiny town equals a great opportunity to make an attraction. Yeah, but you really want it to have the traffic. You really want the traffic flow regular to that town. Like I said, I pitched the attraction to Halifax a couple years ago, actually, and they liked it. But that was one of their things, was they said that they felt they didn't have the foot traffic to warrant to make sure this thing would be successful. But they did like the attraction. They would they loved it. And there was I don't remember the name of it. There was a supposed company that basically stole the project from me for a little while, and it had made some headlines in the Titanic community that it was going to be built in Halifax, and that it was going to be a full-scale replica, and you could stay on board in your own room, and there was going to have all these different things you could go do while you were on board and all this. And I got into researching it, and the people involved, all that, and I reached out to them, and I basically sent them a cease and desist and told them, you stole my project. I have proof you stole my project. If you don't stop, I will file a lawsuit. And it wasn't much longer after that. It was found to be a crypto scam and everything. They got shut down very fast. So I've thought about reaching back out to Halifax to pitch the attraction once again, a more updated version of it, and see if they're up to it today. I said I've had a lot of people talk about, mention places they would love to see it go. Of course, a lot of people always talk about New York, where she was headed to and everything, but there's just so much going on in New York right now. I don't feel it would be very good. Just like, well, Ocean Gate has been shut down. From what I understand, Ocean Gate has closed indefinitely. There is a guy down in Florida that has a boat yacht dealership company, whatever you want to call it. And he's actually got a Ocean Gate submarine, one of their other submarines, that he's trying to sell, and nobody wants to buy it. Because, nobody wants to be associated with Ocean Gate right now. And so I emailed him. I said, I'm not looking to buy it, but, I wish you the best of luck. But if you can't sell it, Titanic Truce would be willing to take it as a donation towards our, the collection for the museum and stuff. But yeah, Ocean Gate's out too, big time. Ugh. Excuse me. But as I said, I'm trying to. So I talked with one realtor. It's got some of the land I was looking at here in town that I was hoping to would be a good land for the attraction, but it was a lot bigger than I was expecting. All the property records that I was looking at online said that this field was split into different lots, and that each lot was a separate, thing you could buy. And the one I was looking at was only about 24 acres. But when I talked to the realtor last week or the week before, he said that it's actually 90 acres. It's the entire area, and it's like $2 million for the land. And it's like, damn. Because if I sell all of the tickets that I have, that's 2.5 million, and with closing costs, the fees, all of that, that would take out everything I got out of those tickets. And so it's just not really feasible, I think. I mean, yes, you can always section it off yourself and sell off other parts of the land or whatever, but so I think I'm just going to focus back to that 18 acres of land that I have just south of town. That the only problem with that land is that it's close to a retirement community, and I really don't want to be where I would disturb some senior citizens and stuff. Because that, like I said, that's my only issue with that land. It's about 18 acres, plenty big enough for the attraction and a full parking lot, all of that. But yeah, right next door across the side road is Lenore Woods retirement community, and so I don't. It would be, and of course, behind that land, down the side road that runs down the side of the property, is some agricultural land for the college and everything. So I'm always looking for other land and stuff, but of course you always got to figure out, can that land be developed in that way? Sometimes there's restrictions on land when you're looking to buy it, that you can't do certain things on that land. Do something for the coming Britannic anniversary. I've been thinking about it. The centennial anniversary is still a couple years off, but the centennial anniversary is it next? Check something here in a minute. Yeah. Okay, so her launch, the centennial of her launch is next year. And then the centennial of her sinking is in 2020. Well, no, I guess we're actually past that. A little past the centennial, because it's 14 and 16. So the 110 year is next year, and of the launch, and the 110 of the sinking is in a couple years. Sorry, I didn't get much sleep last night. My math is not where it's usually at. But I've thought about, like I said, doing doing some. I said with the attraction wise, you know, there could be. I know the April anniversary of the Titanic sinking is going to be a nice big yearly event at the attraction, but I'm sure something would be planned for the Britannic as well. And especially if you did a Britannic attraction, same way, but with the Britannic ship, you could, do something. But I'm trying to set up my TikTok shop right now and everything, and I'm having a lot of issues doing it. Everybody else seems to be able just to pop a few buttons and they have the stuff up and going and selling real easy. But I'm having some issues getting things. But hopefully I get my TikTok shop set up and going. I can start selling some, nice little t-shirts, maybe some tickets for the attraction that way. Because I'm having a little issue with that right now as well. I had another email from the domain people with the domain name I had picked out, wanting to know if I was still interested in the domain. And I told them, yeah, I'm still looking, but I'm I'm stuck in this spot where I need to sell tickets to get the domain, but I need the domain to sell the tickets. I'm caught in this. Not sure how does. Britannic attraction wouldn't be that hard, really. I mean, I've already got the preliminary designs for the Titanic, and so all you really got to do is just make the few modifications to the Britannic and go with what I've already got. The vast majority of the work is already done. It's just with the interior, do you go with the hospital ship that she was, or do you go with the passenger liner that she was supposed to be? Because with the hospital ship, that outside is pretty iconic, but the inside is very bare and minimum and just nothing in there. They really stripped her down to save money and weight and make room and everything. So, I mean, you could perhaps do the hospital outside and the passenger liner inside, maybe combine them a little bit. But overall, it's, the one for me that would be very tricky is actually the Olympic, believe it or not. It's because she's so much like the Titanic that there would be almost no major changes between the two, to the point, that people mistake the Olympic and the Titanic for each other even today. People would probably end up, mistaking the Titanic and the Olympic attractions for each other if they were both done. I mean, you could do the full B-deck promenade all the way down the side, and then there's a little aft bridge that goes across the aft well deck on Olympic on the port side. That was added. You could put in, of course, the Turkish baths are designed differently. The bridge, the forward end of the wheelhouse on the bridge is rounded instead of flat, squared off like Titanic. There are some differences, but overall, it's just Olympic's way too similar. And so I think if Titanic is successful as an attraction, if it can be built and it is successful, I'm going to, Britannic would probably be my second option, my second choice for the next attraction. Because I've always said, if it's successful, you have the ability to expand and grow and do other ships. and everything. And so yeah, I think that one would be my next option and everything. Would be Britannic. Lusitania would be a good one, I think, too. Andrea Doria, maybe. I know she's got a lot of really good following behind her as well. She could be a fairly popular one. But of course, then the thing is when you start getting into more modernized ships like Andrea Doria, or if you to do one of the Queens or something, then it becomes much, much larger than the Titanic. In which case, that's going to cost a lot more money to do and everything. Everything. Considering the Andrea Doria... Okay, well, the Andrea Doria was actually a bit smaller at only 701 foot. But, like I said, you could do... I said, if you were to do, say, the Queen Elizabeth that burned and sank in... Well, that was the QE2, I believe, actually. The QE or the QE2? Which sank in... That's be QE1, the Queen Elizabeth, the original. That burned and sank in Hong Kong Harbor as Seawise University. She was... Where's that here? Here we go. 1,031 feet long. So, and 118 feet wide. So, she would be much, much larger, more expensive to do. But even the Britannic, though, was larger. Britannic was 904 feet long, a little over 900 feet long, and about 94 feet wide, just a little bit wider than both of her sisters. Other ships need a chance. Yeah, I said it would be nice to have other ships, and they're always doable. It's just, is it successful enough to warrant another ship, and especially one of that size? Like the United States that is, been trying to be restored for years. If somebody was just to do an attraction version of that one. Now, of course, with a ship like the United States or the Queen Mary out in Long Beach, if you were to take actual pieces of the real ship, like the hull in particular and a lot of the framework, and you were to incorporate that into the attraction, you could reduce the cost, you could help make it more authentic. I mean, you could really help connect the two together much better and everything. But do you take that risk of destroying that one piece of history in order to rebuild it in a different way? There's just a lot of very tough questions that need to be asked and everything. And even if they are, we're still years away from all of that. And what happens, and you also gotta have, what happens if if the attraction fails, or if one of the styles of the attraction fails. Titanic is successful, but Britannic isn't, or something. What then? A big failure like that. I'm trying to move my stand here a minute. Sorry. A big failure like that, would get investors running. They would flee in an instant. You wouldn't want... The first time one of these attractions fails, you're done. you will not be able to build anymore. It's a very, very risky, business plan. And that's why I've chose Titanic, because she is the most famous ship in history. And, she has the audience, not just normal fans, and everything, but fans of the movies, fans, of just every new generation finding out about it, kids learning about Titanic for the first time. There's always a new generation, a new group of people coming to know it, so it continues to grow. Where these other ships really don't. You just got a few diehard history buff fans who know the stuff about some of these other ships. So yeah, that is, where I, with the attraction. But yeah, it's just, there is, and I'm sure that's one thing that Columbia is going to ask in the meeting is, do you feel it'll be successful? What happens if it fails? All, that line of reasoning there and everything. And I'm just telling there's risk with everything. Without risk, you don't get reward. But, Titanic has, it has the audience. It's there. They're just waiting for it. Clive Palmer promised his in 2012 and then failed and let fans down. China started building theirs and they have stalled out again and everything. And plus, I've always said people are not going to be traveling to deep rural communist China just to see an amusement park. It's way too risky. Well, I hope to have an HMS Hood as an attraction. Hood was a very notable warship. Was a very notable battleship and everything. And I know, floating actual real ships floating on the water, stationary, permanently docked. Warships, battleships and such, aircraft carriers, all of that, they tend to do a lot better in the tourist industry as a tourist attraction. They really do. Now, like Queen Mary out in Long Beach, like I said, they just went through hundreds of millions of dollars in renovations on her because people just don't go see her. The only thing people really do with her anymore is the ghost tours. It just attracts paranormal buffs, which I love the paranormal. I've got a lot of first-hand experience with the paranormal. I would love to go see the Queen Mary and do a ghost tour and all that. But, actual Queen Mary fans are few and far between. People who actually love the ship for the ship, the way people love the Titanic or whatever, or HMS Hood. Those are few and far between. And everything. So, then that's one reason why the United States is doing so hard to try to find restoration experts and people to take care of her. They don't. The passenger liner permanently docked does not do as well as a ship from the war. Whether it's a battleship or an aircraft carrier or whatever. So, you really got to know the market and the audience attraction appeal and everything. So, an HMS Hood, yes, I think that one, if done right, could be pretty successful. I think that would be a good one and everything. But yeah, I said when they first talked about redoing the Queen Mary, I emailed the mayor a few times, and one of the things I emailed him was to offer to design a land-based attraction similar to the Titanic, but of the Queen Mary, where they could still use it as a hotel and do everything on board, but it would be a far less, you know, a far more cost-effective venue. They wouldn't need to have it in the water. They wouldn't need, to do all this and everything, do all this different stuff. I even told him, though, at least get her out of the water, put her into dry dock permanently, because that water is what's going to destroy her and everything. But they seem to have kept her in the water, so I don't know. I don't know what exactly they're doing out there with her. I said, but yeah, that's. But I'm gonna. I said, I think I'm gonna get ready to go because I'm gonna. I said I got stuff to do around here and everything, and I'm trying to, handle everything. So I gotta get things together for the meeting Thursday. Got a lot of stuff to get together beforehand. Have it ready to go that morning. And everything. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to just get ready to call it a day for the live here. I'll probably put a few more things up on TikTok later. One of the things I still got to work out, I didn't get it done in time for the live, but I did a video on calculating the coal, how much coal went on the ship, how much was used per day, and then knowing which step, dividing that between the bunkers, and then the one bunker that was broke open during the break between boiler rooms 1 and 2, and doing some calculations for different things there. But so be sure to, for anybody that's not, as I say every week, subscribe here on YouTube. Help me try to rebuild this channel, what it used to be. Follow me on TikTok at Titanic Truths LLC and everything, and like and follow on Facebook as well to stay up to date with everything going on with the attraction. After the meetings Thursday, I will most likely be posting what's going on Facebook and maybe a video on TikTok as well. But until next week, yeah, the 14,000 subs. I actually used to have over 16,000. I used to have a lot more. This YouTube used to be the #2 Titanic exclusive YouTube on the platform, behind only Honor and Glory. I had more subscribers than Titanic, RMS Titanic Inc. themselves. But the Titanic Honor and Glory, I think, came after me a little bit as I started to approach on their numbers. Palmer kind of came after me because I spoke out a lot against his Titanic 2 at that time. And everything. I know Honor and Glory, shortly after the adpocalypse really hit hard, they started their own Titanic University, where they basically put out the same videos I was putting out every week, educating people on different things about the Titanic and her sisters and everything. And they basically stole my entire premise from my channel. But yeah, I used to have a lot more. But Anyway, as I was saying though, I will see you all next week. And in the meantime, like I said, subscribe here, follow on TikTok, like and follow on Facebook, and I will see you all next week sometime. I don't know the exact times. I haven't worked out in a specific time to start the live so everybody knows when to be here and be ready, but so that's the best way I can say subscribe so you get the notification. But until next week, I will see you all later.